3, 2, 1.
Very hard to do in Los Angeles right now as an art major, as an artist.
Tell me a little bit about the work that you have developed for the SPAN exhibition at the Fremantle Arts Centre.
Yep, so basically in this project it's called curtilage, which is an architectural term which isn't used so much in Australia, but it's more common in the US and the UK, and it refers to space around dwellings. So curtilage doesn't necessarily have to be a particular distance or a physical space. It can also refer to sight lines and heights of buildings, but it's supposed to define space that's still used in a private way. So for example, new builds these days in the suburbs don't allow a lot of curtilage to maximise sort of spacage use. They build right up to boundary fences and things, so not much curtilage. Sort of there are lots of public buildings that have curtilage which encompasses actual city landscapes almost. So a lot of historical buildings like churches and things, their curtilage actually includes being able to be seen from other points in the city, and so high builds can interrupt that curtilage, so they can sort of turn down proposed buildings based on those curtilage considerations. So it's sort of a really interesting term because it doesn't have a one definition. It's got quite a big sort of psychological aspect to it in terms of so I'm sort of interested in the curtilage between suburban houses, and I basically asked neighbours to participate in performances where they performed intimate tasks for each other across these spaces. So I did a bit of a call out to, I did a lot of mailbox dropping and a lot of door knocking, and talked to lots and lots of people and tried to find two sets of neighbours that might be interested in working with me. And there were a few things I wanted people to do. So I wanted neighbours to brush each other's hair and feed each other, brush each other's teeth, and sort of, I could have continued to explore those small intimate tasks, but essentially through all the door knocking I only got 3 sets of neighbours to work with me over quite a few months. What
do you think? What do you think was the impediment to that? Was it that people actually don't? Well, let me put this differently. Do you think that amongst the people who you asked, there probably wasn't any understanding of the value of that as artwork, for instance?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I know it can be a difficult ask for anyone to participate in a performative artwork. Like, I don't think that's necessarily something you're prepared to do every day. But I had a lot of people responding with, because obviously I'd sort of go and pitch the project, and a lot of people responding with, your work's interesting, I think the project's really interesting, but this would just be impossible for me to do because we don't have a good relationship with our neighbours, or just like it's really a war, or like, what are some of the things people said? I'm not, just we don't know them well enough, or...
Which in itself I think is really fascinating. I mean, the difficulty of the project actually says a lot about the relationships that neighbours have.
Anyway, I did end up with some people that wanted to work with me, which was great. And I think this artwork sort of hopefully like articulates some of those sort of tensions. So, yeah.
Explain for me the so you had the brushing hair, brushing teeth, and feeding. So tell me a little bit about each of those.
Sure.
Works.
So the brushing hair, was done between my neighbour and this house, and I actually used my sister as the other participant, which, even though is sort of not quite true to the situation, I felt okay about it. I didn't feel too disingenuous. Like, I sort of felt it still was a similar relationship to the relationship I had with my neighbour. They knew each other, they'd met a few times, you know, my sister's very comfortable in our house, and Will, the neighbour, basically brushed her hair, which she said she found really relaxing, and she sort of like closes her eyes in the performance. And it's quite a caring act, I think. Will's got kids as well, so I sort of, he took great care with that, I think.
Which is difficult as well, given the equipment is actually quite unwieldy.
Yeah, that's right. It's really difficult to use. It's like a 4 metre, it's a hairbrush on a 4 metre stick, basically. But there's sort of a certain level of sort of trust or acceptance there, I think, in that performance. The other one is brushing teeth, which I did with 2 neighbours in Floreat that had lived next door to each other for 30 years. So great friends, had a fantastic time, like loved participating in this performance. I hope they come to the show. I think they'll really enjoy it. And I think brushing teeth is even more intimate, like, you know, you're touching someone's mouth essentially. So I'm glad that was the performance that they did, just because I think that would have been even more difficult for neighbours that maybe didn't have that really close relationship. You know, they were so close, they were like best mates sort of thing. And the final performance that I did was a neighbour spoon feeding another neighbour in a block of flats in Messham-Muir Park. So there's sort of the spoon feeding sort of almost implies a bit of dependency or something like that, or I think they're all quite caring acts in a way. They sort of there's sort of I think that moment where you just accept that someone's going to feed you something, or you accept that someone's going to brush your teeth. There's just a little moment of like trust in those things, where the other person sort of like lets go and goes, okay, like I trust you enough with this instrument, sort of thing. So yeah.
And tell me a little bit about your approach with filming these, because these now, in a way, you were saying you've gone from producing objects more into, there's definitely a performative element to this, but the work itself then is the video, isn't it? So tell me a little bit about that as a medium and your approach to it.
Yeah, sure. So I still use video in a documentary style more than a filmic way. So it's not about how beautiful the shot is or how perfect the light is. I know that even things like that are a construction, but it's trying to aim to be more documentary or referencing documentary style than cinematic. Yeah, just because of that reality that I try and put into all of the work, which, yes, it's a situation that's been set up, but there's a real relationship there that I'm trying to articulate.